The general form of an AP. Welcome, everyone. Before we dive into today's new topic, let's take a quick moment to recap what we have already covered. In our previous lessons, we established that an arithmetic progression, or an AP, is essentially a sequence of numbers defined by two key components: the very first term and a constant value that we call the common difference. Now, as we move forward, you'll find that simply listing numbers can become quite cumbersome when dealing with complex problems. To make our work much more efficient and algebraically manageable, we are going to introduce a general mathematical form to represent these sequences. The beauty of using this general form is that it provides us with a powerful tool. It allows us to describe and calculate any specific term in the sequence precisely, without the tedious task of having to write out every single number in the series. Let's look at how we actually build this formula. Understanding the logic behind the general form. To begin, let's use standard notation. We will denote the first term of our sequence as and the common difference as d. The fundamental rule of an AP is quite simple. To find any term that follows, we just repeatedly add that common difference, d, to the term right before it. Let's derive this step by step so you can see the pattern clearly. First, we have the first term. Since it's the very start of our sequence, it is simply a. Next, let's look for the second term. To find this, we take our first term, and add the common difference, so the second term is a plus d. Moving on to the third term, we take our previous result, which was a plus d, and add the common and difference d once more. When we combine these, we get a plus 2d. Now let's find the fourth term. We take the third term, a plus 2d, and add again. This gives us a plus 3d. If you look closely at these steps, a very important pattern is emerging. Notice the number in front of the d, the coefficient. In the second term, it's 1, in the third term, it's 2, and in the fourth term, it's 3. You'll see that this coefficient is always exactly one less than the position of the term in the sequence. Keep this pattern in mind, because in the next slide, we will use this logic to write out the complete general algebraic representation. Now that we've established what an arithmetic progression is, let's dive into the logic behind how we actually write it down mathematically. The general algebraic representation. Now that we have walked through that step-by-step derivation, we can see a very clear pattern emerging. Based on the logic we just explored, we can conclude that any arithmetic progression, no matter how large, can be written in the standard general algebraic form. A plus d, a plus 2d, a plus 3d, and so on. To ensure we are all on the same page, let's clearly define our variables. In this notation, the letter A represents our starting point, which is the first term of the sequence, and the letter D represents our common difference, which is the constant value we add to each term to move to the next. This formulaic approach is what allows us to move away from just listing numbers and instead use algebra to predict any term in the sequence, which we will see applied in our upcoming savings plan example. Real-world example, a savings plan. Imagine a student who decides to start a savings plan using a piggy bank. They begin with an initial deposit of $500, and then, at the end of every single week, they commit to adding another $100 to that bank. We can actually use the general form of an arithmetic progression that we just learned to represent the total amount of money in the bank at the start of each week. To do this, let's follow a simple three-step process. Step 1. We need to identify our parameters, which are the key values of our sequence. Looking at our scenario, the initial amount, which represents our first term, is $500. The weekly addition, which is our common difference, d, is $100. Step 2. Now we apply the general form we derived in the previous slide. We know the sequence of the total amount at the start of each week follows the pattern: A, then a plus d, then a plus 2d, then a plus 3d, and so on. Step 3. Finally, we substitute our specific values into that pattern. For week 1, we simply have our starting amount, which is 500. For week 2, we take our starting amount and add the common difference, so 500 plus 100. By week 3, we have added the difference twice, which gives us 500 plus 2 times 100. And for week 4, we follow the pattern by adding the difference 3 times, resulting in 500 plus 3 times 100. Now that we have understood the mathematical logic and the pattern behind how terms are derived, let's see how this applies to a real-life scenario. This will help you see how the general form we just discussed actually works in practice. As you can see, the pattern is holding up perfectly. In the next slide, we will simplify these expressions to see the actual dollar amounts we expect to find in the bank. Simplifying the terms in a savings plan. Now that we have substituted our specific values into the general formula, let's look at the actual numbers we get. By performing the addition for each week, we can see the sequence clearly. $500, $600, $700, $800, and so on. This simplified list makes it much easier to visualize how the money is growing each week. As we move forward, we will use this pattern to understand how to find any specific term in a sequence without having to add them up one by one. Key takeaways. To summarize, the general form of an arithmetic progression, or an AP, is written as a plus d, a plus 2d, a plus 3d, and so on. It is crucial to remember the structure of this sequence. The first term is always simply represented by the letter A. To find the second term, we add the common difference once, giving us a plus d. For the third term, we add the common difference twice, which gives us a plus 2d, and this pattern continues indefinitely. The real power of using this general form is that it provides us with a mathematical language to express any term in the sequence based solely on 2 pieces of information: the starting value, which is our first term, and the constant rate of change, which is our common difference. All right, let's take a moment to recap everything we have covered in this lesson so that the core concepts are clear in your mind. Now, before we move on, I want to highlight a few common pitfalls that students often encounter when working with these formulas, so please pay close attention to the next slide. Common mistakes to avoid. Now, before we wrap up today's lesson, I want to pause and highlight some common pitfalls. Even if you understand the logic we discussed in the previous slides, it is very easy to make small errors when performing calculations. Let's look at 2 specific mistakes to watch out for. First, let's talk about miscounting the common difference. This is perhaps the most frequent error I see. When working with the general form, some students mistakenly assume that the nth term is calculated by adding n times the common difference to the first term. For instance, you might find yourself thinking that the second term should be a plus 2d. To correct this, please keep this rule in mind. The first term, which is a, does not have the common difference added to it yet. Think back to our derivation in slide 2. Because we start at the first term, the second term is actually a plus 1d, the third term is a plus 2d, and following this pattern, the nth term is always a plus the quantity n minus 1. All multiplied by d. Always remember to subtract 1 from the position number before multiplying by d. Second, be very careful not to ignore the sign of the common difference. In our savings example earlier, the difference was a positive $100, so it was straightforward. However, if the common difference, d, is a negative value, students often forget to maintain that negative sign during substitution. To avoid this, always use parentheses when substituting. For example, if d equals -5, the general form should be written as a, then a plus -5, then a plus 2 times -5, and so on. When you simplify this, you will see the sequence clearly becomes a, then a -5, then a -10. Paying close attention to these signs will ensure your sequences remain accurate.